Little morning sparring session between the 3 females. Dominant female, Cane Corso puppy, female, and Pitbull puppy, female. So that's what the girls do. Here comes Ozzy. Break it up, Ozzy. Ozzy's the alpha Cane Corso. Ozzy. Hi, Papa. Say good mornings. Everybody's awake. Everybody's awake. Yeah, everybody's awake. There's Tug. Come on, Tugs. Come on, Tugs. Come on, Tugs. Come on, come up here with me. Come on, Tugs. They sound like they're fighting, y'all, but they're not. They're not fighting. It's like, I know that's a playground. Come on up here with me, Tux. Come on, Tux. Come on this bed. Good boy. There you go. Oh, it's cold out, y'all, and hi, Tuxie. And I had to turn the heat up in the house. Baby. Yeah, this, if you're just tuning into the channel, I'm just I'm trying to get over this COVID. Hey, Papa. I was feeling a little bit better there for a minute, but I feel like it's starting to get down in my chest, in my lungs. Put some more water on for tea. Yeah, I'm drinking hot tea. Oh, gosh. What you doing, baby girl? These puppies. They just want to play all day. They just want to play all day. That's a playground. It's funny how you can tell the subtle differences in the growls. Baby. Hey, baby girl. And, yeah, that one is a playground. Lucia. I'm really lucky. Well, I wouldn't say lucky because it was it was planned, but, or at least an effort was made. I was going to say that Lucia is she's got such a amicable or, laid back temperament for a Cane Corso. She's kind of middle of the road for temperament as far as Cane Corso temperaments go. They range the gamut from really laid back to all the way to very intense. And I think Dolce is on the higher end of that spectrum where she's very intense, not laid back. She's extremely dominant. And so I really tried to plan it to where if I got another female dominant breed Cane Corso, that I was going to get one from the litter that was more laid back, kind of opposite in temperament to Dolce. Man, it really worked out, y'all, because I've seen several examples already of how Lucia, she'll kind of let me turn this light on. She'll even kind of snug up to Dolce after they've been sparring over something, like competing for something like that, that bone. Even after Dolce kind of snaps at her, Lucia will snug up to her and just kind of lay her head on Dolce's shoulder or something, or, just kind of muzzle up to her in a loving way. It's just the cutest thing to watch. Yes. Hi, Mr. Tux. Oh, okay. Let me address a question. It'd be easier for me to talk about it rather than whenever I get comments that ask a question. It takes me a little longer to respond because I have to sit down and write it and type it out and everything. But it's easier for me to talk about. So someone asked. And thank you for your questions, by the way. Thank you for all your comments. I really appreciate them. And so this was a really good one. And she asked how I came up with all the dogs' names. No one's ever asked that before, so that's a great one. And yeah, rather than type it out, I'll just talk about it here. So Tux was my first dog of the pack. I got Tux when I lived in my other house in San Antonio. The first house I ever bought was in San Antonio, and it was a suburban neighborhood. I had just moved to, and this is the long-winded story, but I like telling this story. I just moved into that house. It had a really good yard, fenced-in yard. These are playgrounds again. I'm watching them. If it becomes any more intense, I'm going to take it away. Dolce responds very quickly to my voice commands. Dolce. If I tell her to drop it, she'll drop it. Dolce, drop it. Dolce, drop it. Dolce. Good girl. Gypsy. Good girl, Dolce. Very good. My praiser. Very good, very good. Was a good girl. I'm gonna reward her for that. I'm gonna reward her for that. Good girl, Dolce. Because she listened. Very good, you want some? Very good, Dolce. Isn't she good, y'all? Oh, sorry, y'all. Before we were rudely interrupted. So I give them these trachea. Dolce, I'm gonna split it in half. Sit. Oh, good girl, my baby. You can have your own. There you go. Lucia, let me give them all one, so there's no fight. There's no fighting there. Lucia. Well, this big one. Oh, I couldn't break that one. Well, anyways, y'all. My apartment that I had before I moved into that house got broken into, and I didn't have any dogs at the time. So I moved into the suburban neighborhood home, and I wanted to have a dog for protection, to guard. And I went to the pound, and I picked out Tux. And I picked him because I wanted a pit bull. He looked pit bull. He wasn't full pit bull, but I saw a little bit of pit bull in him, and they told me he was. And it turns out he wasn't the best guard dog. Sorry, Tux, gotta call you out. But I love him nonetheless. And let me give Ozzy his trachea. Okay, Oz. Ozzy, sit. Good boy, voila. Good boy. And so anyway, that's the story of how I got Tux. And Tux has his name it's short for tuxedo, because he's got the white cuffs and the tuxedo, the white chest. It looks like he's wearing a tuxedo against the black coat. So that's Tux's name, short for tuxedo. Next in line was Ozzy. I got Ozzy because Tux, although I love him to death, he wasn't the best guard dog. He was suffering from anxiety, a lot of severe separation anxiety, because I live alone and I would go to work during the day. So it was just Tux at home alone. He had a doggy door, he would access the backyard and then he would escape. Probably didn't want to be left alone to fend for himself. So he would try and find comfort and find another home, probably. I don't know. But so those were the two reasons that I was looking into another dog. I needed a real protection dog. So I was looking for a purebred because I was looking for a specific function of the dog, a dog that was actually bred to protect. And as much as I would want to rescue from the pound, you don't always know what you're getting you don't know the dogs who, I'm still a huge advocate for rescue. And I've fostered many dogs from rescue situations and still would continue to do that. But I needed a reliable, strong dog that looked formidable, that not only looked the part, but also that was bred to actually protect. And I was wanting a dog that didn't require a lot of hardcore running. Like a Vizsla, for example, you need to run that dog. A Doberman is a runner. I think Doberman might have Greyhound, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dobermans are runners. They have to run. They're high energy. I love Doberman pinschers, but it wouldn't suit my lifestyle because I work so long. So I wanted a dog that didn't require a lot of exercise, but so everything in my research, was pointing to the Cane Corso, Italian Mastiff, Cane Corso. So, they require a lot of energy relative to the Mastiff breeds, but they do better with short bursts of energy, like sprinting, not like, running for miles. And so I was like, yeah, that's me. That's my lifestyle. So that's the story of Ozzy. Now, how did I come up with Ozzy's name? I love I love like 80s music, 70s, 80s. I'm a little bit of the older generation where that was really good music back then. And I love Ozzy Osbourne, and I like Ozzy as a short name. I love dog names that are 1 or 2 syllables. And so, it just had a nice ring to it. It's a strong name to me. I also call him Oz for short. I like that. So that's how I came up with Ozzy. And I also love the name Zeppelin for Led Zeppelin. I was between naming him Zepp or Zeppelin, but I went with Ozzy. So that's how I got Ozzy, and that's how I named him. And then Dolce. Now, the reason I got Dolce is because, backing up, Ozzy and Tux were a pair. They were the best of buds, and almost immediately it cured Tux's separation anxiety when I got Ozzy. Because even as a puppy, Cane Corsos are huge. So it wasn't long before, it was maybe 6 months, Ozzy was already Tux's size, and they would just spar the way that Lucia and Gypsy play. That's how Tux and Ozzy would play, believe it or not. I even have some pictures. I'll try to pull one up, if I can pull one up, and I'll clip it in here, but several pictures of the two of them cuddling up together, and oh my God, they were just the cutest pair. Tux got a lot of good exercise. He would run and spar and wrestle with Ozzy when Ozzy was under a year. And so that was great. And it, like I said, completely cured Tux's separation anxiety. He stopped escaping from the yard because he had Ozzy with him. And he felt secure in his little pack, his dog pack. And Yes, my Tux. You remember that? You used to play with Oz. And so it wasn't very long. I want to say about when Ozzy was about a year of age. See, Lucia's only a year, and look how big she is. She's like a full-grown dog. Ozzy was the same, even bigger than Lucia at a year of age. So it wasn't long before, Tux figured out that Ozzy is overpowering him too easily in their play sessions. And not only that, Ozzy's hormones were starting to kick in. And so now I had two male dogs. And dogs being what dogs are, they're the alpha. One of them's going to be alpha if there are two males. One of them has to assert himself as alpha, just naturally, because the thought, in the dog's instincts ingrained in the dogs is one of them's going to have to compete for breeding rights if there's a female. And so that's why if there's two males, one of them is going to want to claim alpha. And Ozzy naturally did. Also, Ozzy was intact, and Tux is neutered because he came from the pound. But so anyway, needless to say, they stopped playing. They gradually just stopped playing, and I felt bad because it was like I had, two dogs that never engaged with never had any interactions other than Ozzy trying to show Tux that he's alpha. Ozzy was never aggressive or anything. He would just, like he does now, do these subtle gestures where, he'll kind of, put his shoulder to Tux's shoulder and say, look how big I am compared to you. And Tux will walk away. But, Gypsy. Okay, they're still playing. Lucia makes these cute whine. Those noises are so funny. She's the only dog that does that. Ooh. But Dolce, she's already done with hers. Well, so anyways, that's why I started looking into getting another Cane Corso, because I wanted a dog that could match Ozzy's strength and to be able to spar with him and play with him the way that Tux used to. So that's why I started looking into a Cane Corso. I wanted another male really bad because I love the way the males are, very big, of course, and naturally they're usually bigger than the females. And so I was very close to getting another male. I'm so glad I didn't. Now, if I'm home 24/7 and I don't work a full-time job, that'd be another story, because then I could be at home to monitor the two males, but to make sure there's not a fight, or anything like that. But I took the advice of several people. I even reached out to Rachel from Senza Tempo Cane Corso, and I texted her and asked the same thing, and she was gave me some really good advice. She did not recommend getting two male Cane Corsos, and so and also other breeders I reached out to that I know that are very, very experienced, and all of them recommended I do not get another male. And so I didn't. I got Dolce from the same breeder that I got Ozzy from, who's no longer in business. She's Cypress Arrow Cane Corso is the name, out of Louisiana, and she is being charged with animal abuse in her kennel. But before all that happened, that's when I got Dolce, before all that happened. So so that's the story of Dolce. Now, how did I name Dolce? I wanted a good Italian name, and Dolce is the Italian version of the Spanish is dulce. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it means sweet. And So dolce means sweet in Italian, and I liked that name. It's 2 syllables. She was a she still is very, very sweet. So nice, strong Italian name. So that's why I got that name for her. And also she fit in beautifully with the pack. She was everything I wanted for Ozzy. You know, she has the energy to match him in play. Very strong. And so to this day, they spar and wrestle with each other, and it's great. And then, why did I get Lucia? So I got my 3rd Cane Corso, also female. I knew I couldn't get another male with my pack dynamic, so I wanted another female. I wasn't looking per se for another Cane Corso, but I've told this story many times before, how I got Lucia. I love the breed, the Cane Corso breed, so I'm a member of several groups on Facebook, and one of the people that I was following is Wailani Robles. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. It's Robles, but anyway, he had a beautiful, gorgeous male and female named Catalea. Catalea is like a male. She's almost as big as Ozzy. Everybody thought that she was male, until he would tell them no. He'd have to several times correct people and say, "Oh, Catalea is actually a female." And so, I guess we're going outside now. Let me get my tea. And so I learned from his Facebook that she was pregnant with Draco, his huge male. And both, Draco and Catalea are not related. Come on, baby. But Catalea comes out of a very well-known breeder. I believe it's out of Serbia, named Custodinos, Nos, Custodinos. Custodinos has several champions, and so, and also, fantastic structure, temperament, and size in their lines. And so, that's where Catalea came out of. So, and I knew Catalea's temperament from all the videos and that Wailani had posted. So I was like, oh no, I gotta get a puppy. I have got to get a puppy. I always wanted a very large female. But anyway, so I just knew that the genetics in that litter were going to be phenomenal, and they were probably the best litter I've ever seen. That Catalea had 12 puppies, and every single one of them is huge. There's a few people on this channel that have gotten a puppy from that litter, because I let everybody know about the litter and when there were puppies available. And that's where my colleague got Rain, Reign. So he's got a channel, Storm and Rain. Storm the Rottweiler, and Rain the Cane Corso. So Rain is Lucia's brother, and Rain already is just about probably as big as Ozzy already, only a year old. So again, just proven genetics out of that litter, out of that line. So, and all have phenomenal temperaments. Some are more dominant than Lucia, but I specifically handpicked Lucia because she didn't show that she was like the most dominant one from the litter. She was kind of middle of the road. So anyways, how did I name Lucia? Well, I wanted another Italian name. And Lucia, I guess it's the Italian version of Lucia, the Spanish Lucia. And I just love the way it sounds. It's similar to Dolce. It's got that, that, I don't know, I just like it. It sounds Italian to me. And it is Italian. And it means light. And I believe it's, correct me if I'm wrong, all y'all who know Italian, all you who are Italian who are watching, I believe it means light. And she is a light. She's just a joyful personality, joyful dog. And she did bring a light to the pack that I love. So that's the story of all my dogs. How they got their names and how I got them. Oh, sorry. I missed, last but not least, little Gypsy. So Gypsy, story about Gypsy, I've always loved pit bulls. And I've fostered several pit bulls throughout my life. I've got a soft spot in my heart for pit bulls. They kind of have a bad rap, of course. You know, everybody probably knows the history of them. They were bred for fighting, for bait dogs, and really abused. Just have a long history of abuse for being bred for that. And so a lot of, you know, it's unfortunately some people just look at them as kind of throwaway trash dogs, and many of them are abandoned, and many of them roam the streets. And so left to fend for themselves. And so to me, it's similar to a gypsy, how a gypsy's life is. A gypsy's like a nomad. Gypsies are self-sufficient. They don't always have a permanent home, so they're kind of wanderers, but they're resilient. And I love that name. I love that for a pit bull, because it kind of epitomizes what a pit bull is to me. They're kind of magical and extremely resilient. They've got this intestinal fortitude, like we say in the military. You can't keep them down. So that's how I got Gypsy. Its name. That's how I named Gypsy. So yeah, y'all, that's the story of my pack. And we're doing the morning sparring session. I noticed that Dolce's hackles are up a little bit. See, Dolce, the fur on the back of her neck and her back was standing up a little bit. Yeah, and as you can see, what I like about this pit bull Gypsy, she's pure pit bull from the DNA test, so I'm watching her very closely as she develops, so that there's not going to be intense interactions with her and my two Cane Corsos, especially Dolce being dominant. So see, she kind of stays to herself sometimes. She doesn't always want to get in the sparring sessions, although she does, even as a puppy. But yeah, I handpicked her from the litter as well for her temperament. I don't want a very alpha type, extremely dominant pit bull in my pack. That wouldn't work. She's, from what I could tell, although she's still a little bit of a wild card, she could show different traits as she develops, but from what I could tell, she's more or less middle of the road in comparison to her litter mates. That's why I handpicked her. Lucia's got energy for days, but what I like about her is she's not as intense as Dolce. She's yeah, like I said, just got a fantastic temperament that fits right in with my pack. And I will most likely be breeding her because her genetics, I just can't get over her genetics. It'd be a shame not to share that. And most likely we'll get I've said this before, most likely we'll get a stud out of a Russian breeding program called, oh my gosh, Force Pride. There we go. Force Pride. If you go to their site and take a look at their dogs, man, they're next level. They're just next level. They're similar to Custodinos. I would use Custodinos, but I don't want to, since Lucia comes out of Custodinos, I don't want to risk having, you know, a kind of a closer relative as a stud, but I want a totally different genetics. And Forest Pride has got that, man. All of their dogs look like gladiators, huge wide chests, blockheads, but very well proportioned, tall. I prefer the taller Cane Corso, and that's what Lucia is. She's extremely tall, y'all. But that's where the height comes from. It comes from the Custodinos lines. So, but anyways, Ozzy digging in the mud. Well, y'all, this video is super long again. And thanks for hanging in with my rambling. And comment down below what your Cane Corso's names are. I'm curious how they got their names too. And anyway, hope y'all having a good day, and we'll see you on the next one. Lucy, Gypsy, Gypsy, Gypsy. Ozzy, what was it? What you looking for? Ozzy. Yeah, look at her structure, y'all. What are you digging for, Oz?